Yep.
Okay, so if I introduce it, you can. Welcome to the YAHOWAH blog. My pleasure to be with you this evening. We have a little thinner cast of characters today, but we have the A team here. We've got Kevin up at the top. Good to see you, Kevin. I'm hoping that you have some time on Sunday and we can do another vlog on the blog.
Yeah, Sunday, absolutely. We'll get
that work
get
for
ready
you?
to set up for it.
Okay,
absolutely.
perfect. One of my favorite things to do. Dr. Jeff, you are clearly in the hospital now. I see red buttons behind you, and that room has all the charm of an emergency room.
Well, yes, I'm in the ICU right now, and I'm dealing with the post-Christmas crash. So a lot of alcoholic crashes and nasty things going on.
Alcoholism, huh? That's what a way to pickle one's brain. And we have the keeper of the cables, and Rich. It's good to see you here. You know, it's this was a fast turnaround. We just finished a program on the Ocean Studio. I don't think it was even 20 minutes ago that we
just finished up.
We were done, got all of our gear back covered up. So it's nice to see you here.
All the dogs participated. That was fun.
Yes, we even had dogs participating. We are not going to have our good friend Captain Kirk as part of this program. You know, he is out there and what once was a prosperous state. I lived in California, goodness, until, I don't know, maybe 15 years ago. I had a home out in California. I grew up in California, went to University of Southern California, as a matter of fact. And it was always a fairly productive community. We were always pleased with what we were able to achieve there. He lives in Carmel, which is just south of Monterey, which is just south of San Francisco. And, you know, they got some rain there, and they reportedly had a tree limb, a choder, that fell on a wire or a transformer of something. And he's now gone, and the entire city of Carmel, California, and part of that, Monterey, California, has gone without power for 4 days. They're going on their 5th day. Wow. And they can't figure out how to restore power because a limb fell. Can you imagine it's that bad in California? Now, he has a generator, but there's no internet because all of the internet providers are down. Evidently, they don't have generators. And so we're getting him set up with Starlink, and he's able to listen to the show on his cell phone, but he is not able to participate, even though he is delighted that he has a generator and at least can keep the lights on. But Northern California is in the dark.
Wow.
You know, he was just laughing. He says, you know, it's easy to see how this nation's going to fall. You know, you disrupt our access to internet. He says there's not a single store that's open in Carmel because they can't run their registers. They can't turn on nothing worked without internet access and access to utilities. So we'll have to be with Captain Kirk next week, and I think JB is still traveling as it is. And I just took our good friend Joe back after a really productive 2 weeks here. He'll return here shortly. So one of the things I wanted to do is that we played a surprise song at the beginning of our last program that I enjoyed very much, but it wasn't the one that I thought we were going to be playing. The song that I really wanted to play is the one that is encouraging Israel to listen to Yahweh, something Israel has not done well in 3,450 years. And so my wife wrote really a beautiful ballad about why it's essential at this time that Israel finally do as Yahweh asked. The statement in Debatim doesn't say, pray, Israel. It doesn't say, yabber to me, Israel. It doesn't say, rabbis, I want you to talk to Israel. It says, listen, Israel. It doesn't say Hashem is one. It doesn't say Adonai is one. It says Yahweh is one, and that Yahweh is your God. And for 3,500 years, Israel has denied this. And the consequence is going to be, has been, and it's going to continue to be grievous as we move into the time of troubles. And so I would love to see if, Rich, if you can play that song and we can enjoy the mastery of Leah as she composed it and scored this song for us.
Called by Name.
Called by Name. That is the title.
Children of Israel, hear my voice. I called you by name. I gave you a choice, a plan to lift you on wings so high, to walk in my light beneath endless sky. I gave you guidance, loving and true, a father's heart reaching out to you. But echoes of silence answered my plea. You turned from the truth and chose to be free to stray, and that you are. Rejected us both, a family torn, a love unreturned, one last chance, one last dance, for those of you that still discern. The path less traveled, yet it shows the way our voice grows cold in the night, sway our lament, our unanswered call. Above all, none beside me, yet you chase whispers that only fall. I gave you a covenant, a golden word, but voices of falsehood drowned what you heard. Still, hope remains for hearts that break, for those who turn for love's own sake. Return to Yah. My door is open wide, with the King of Israel waiting inside. Oh, my people, why do you roam like errant sheep without pasture? I inscribed your name, made Shamayim your home. I sent my son, taught as the path to see, but you walked away, rejected me. A family torn asunder, a love unrequited. In my open arms are those who discern rightly. Two men standing in the standing place. The sign of Zion marks the ground in the place where I put of Israel, I know this is true. No greater love than I have for you. Though broken hearts and paths astray away, for you to come home soon.
I met my wife now 20 years ago. It was through email. She was the one that wrote that song. Powerful. We have somebody with a back echo now with the sound. She wrote that song for us 2 or 3 weeks ago. But I met her 20 years ago now. She wrote an email to me, fairly much in the tone of Leah. She was a little acerbic. She says, who are you, of all people, to be writing about my God, my people, my book, my language? Who are you? Why are you doing this? And it was the time I had maybe 6 or 7 of now the 35 books posted at YadaYah.com. And there was a contact us button at the bottom of the page. And she said, you've completely changed my life. And I don't know why, but I was trying to figure out who the good woman is and who the bad, evil woman is. That there's running through God's story, there's a whore. And yet there's also a really good woman that makes life possible, that makes a tremendous contribution. I'm trying to figure out who these women are. And you addressed struck a note that caused when I did a search to bring me to your books. And he says, I haven't slept in 4 days, so I don't know how coherent I'm going to be in this email, because that's all I have done since I found the first book is I have read. Mm-hmm. And I've read every word of every book, and I've started back through again. It's changed my life. This is what I've always known that God had to be. This is the message that I anticipated that God would be conveying. But why is it you that is conveying it? And the reason she asked that question is I'm not Jewish. I'm a goy. And I wrote her back. I said, I happen to agree with you. It shouldn't have been me. It should have been somebody else. Now, little did I know that at that point I had no awareness of the prophecies of Hanakri, the observant foreigner. And so now I know why it had to be a goy. But at the time, I didn't know. All I knew is that Yahweh had asked me to do this, and he is very convincing. When he wants you to do something, you got to be a lot more, have a lot more moxie than I have to tell him no. I told him yes, best decision I ever made in my life. But that was 24 years ago that and I had that conversation, and she wrote me about just a few years after that. And so I don't know why it's me, other than God asked me to do it. No one else seemed willing to do it, and it needed to be done. So there you are. If that's not good enough, that's the best answer I got. And she said, that's just good enough for me. And we corresponded from that point on. Very intellectual. She would write an email or two every week. Brilliant. Really, she would say, I agree with you on this, but I've learned a lot more that you missed. And here's some additional thoughts on what you wrote in this chapter. Or she would say that she disagreed with something for some reason, and she would explain her reasons. And we corresponded multiple times every week by email for 10 years. Never saw a picture of her, knew very little about her until such time as she got in a whole world of trouble. And I'm telling this story because this is the story. There is no bigger story than this. That song is brilliant. Every word of that song is better than I can convey this message. I can retire and just say, listen to that song. And I began to correspond with Leah a little before the time, Jeff, that I met you, quite many years ago. And one of the things that I came to know is just how brilliant she was. And she got herself messed up in a conspiracy cult, not because she was conspiratorial, because she never was. But the cult members of conspiracy cults are really, and cult is probably too strong a term. Like I've been calling the Mother Goddess cult a cult. It's not. It's a clique of embittered women and some, exceedingly weak and misguided men, thoughtless men and embittered women. And it's a clique. It's not a cult. And she was part of that. As she got drawn in, just being nice as a friend that she was corresponding with online, encouraged her to help this guy that I think he just passed away, Larry. He was fairly embittered, very, very political, and horribly conspiratorial, and treated women horribly, did a lot of things that were really miserable. And I know there's some people that follow me that still corresponded with him to the end and said that he was a decent fellow, but it's not how I knew him. I saw him do some really, really despicable things, and saw his enablers continue to do really despicable things for a long time. Anyway, I saw a woman that was being abused, and I don't like that. I'm the kind of person, if I can protect somebody, particularly a woman, from being abused, I'm going to intervene. And again, I only knew this woman because of her intellect. I'd never even seen a picture of her. I didn't see a picture of her until 8 years ago, which was about 4 or 5 days before I met her for the first time, when she sent a picture, little thumbnail about like this, that was completely out of focus, and said, you'll recognize me from this picture when I show up at the airport. said, great. Yeah. Mm-hmm. With what magnifying glass am I going to use to see what you look? I'm clueless. So anyway, I figured, well, we'll figure out some way to make this happen. So she was being abused, and I decided that I would protect her, and I would go against this fellow that I had been a co-host of Shattering Myths when I did that radio show all those years. And I learned some of the despicable things he was doing, and I held him accountable for it. And I protected this woman and got her out of there. And I went after everyone who demeaned her. And I'm glad I did. It was the right thing to do. And it would be years thereafter that we continued to correspond. But then I finally met her when she had business to conduct in Florida, where I went after my separation and divorce. And we met for the first time. My beloved yellow lab, Asher, is the one who actually introduced us, because I didn't know what she looked like. And she knew that I had a yellow lab, and there's a little puppy there that's 8 weeks old. She started talking to the puppy by name, and I said, that well, must be my lunch date. So she came for lunch. And she, at the time, had a very troublesome relationship with a woman that was part of that conspiracy cult, that has continued to do to her what this Larry fellow, who is now deceased, did. Very abusive, psychotically abusive. Far worse than what Miriam did to Moshe. Far worse than what Mikel did to Dode. And as I listened to somebody who's capable of composing a song that beautiful, And she creates all of the branding material for YadaYahowah. She does it with a team of other people, so she doesn't do it alone. And I'm not trying to steal credit from all those who make a marvelous contribution. And I know Mariah is one of those. And Kevin, I know that you work with her on those things as well. And there's others that contribute to them. But when I listened to that, and then I thought about how this despicable clique of embittered women have gone after my wife and continue to disparage her when she is done so much for Yahweh, for Dod, for Yehudim, and is capable of composing songs like that. My only response is the hell with all of you. Yeah, you're disgusting. And that you would work against someone that this committed, someone that spends 16, 18 hours a day, 7 days a week, making contributions. And her sense of style is just amazing. How beautiful it is and how much she knows and cares. And how many contributions she's made to these books over the years as we have been a team together. And yet you have this clique of embittered, disgusting women with mealy mouse men that are hanging around them. It's not a lot of them, and maybe 10, 12 that are actually active in their little clique. But they have a We Hate Craig website that they also disparage my wife Leah on. I don't give a crap that they disparage me. Yahweh does. Yahweh has a lot to say about them, and it's all horrendous. He is holding them accountable. And it has written a lot about them. So he cares deeply about their disparagement of me and as his children, his Nachri, and of these books. But my concern is that for them to have attacked the woman that wrote that song is unforgivable. And that is the message that we need Israel to hear. I'm going to ask Rich to play that song again now that you've had a chance to listen to my comments on it, because this is a beloved Yehud crying out to Yehud, telling them what they need to hear. It's time to listen. You only have 7.5 years left, Israel. You have silenced Yahweh's voice for 3,400 years. You've erased his name. You have disowned his beloved son, your returning king, your savior, Dod. You've done all of these things. And the consequence is horrendous. It's cost so many Jews their souls. And you still listen to your rabbis as opposed to your God and your king. So I'd like to play this song again, and I want it to permeate your soul. I want it to pierce you as it pierces me, and how important this is.
Children of Israel, hear my voice. I called you by name. I gave you a choice, a plan to lift you on wings so high, to walk in my light beneath endless sky. I gave you guidance, loving and true, a father's heart reaching out to you. But echoes of silence answered my plea. You turned from the truth and chose to be free to stray, and that you are. Rejected us both, a family torn, a love unreturned, one last chance, one last dance, for those of you that still discern. The path less traveled, yeah, it shows the way our voice grows cold in the night, sway our lament, our unanswered call. Stand before YAHOWAH, my name is above all, none beside me, yet you chase whispers that only fall. I gave you a covenant, a golden word, but voices of falsehood drowned what you heard. Still, hope remains for hearts that break, for those who turn for love's own sake. Return to my door is open wide, with the King of Israel waiting inside. Oh, my people, why do you roam like errant sheep without pasture? I inscribed your name, made Shamayim your home. I sent my son, taught as the path to see, but you walked away, rejected me. A family torn asunder, a love unrequited. In my open arms are those who discern rightly. Two men standing in the standing place. The sign of Zion marks the ground in the place where I put my name. Children of Israel, I know this is true. No greater love than I have for you. Though broken hearts and paths astray I wait for you to come home soon.
Kevin, who is the person that is the closest to Yahweh of all people who have ever lived?
Dode, his son, Dode, beloved.
Dr. Jeff, if I were to ask you, was Dode more cerebral or was he more emotional? How would you answer the question of head over heart as it relates to Dode?
I would say he was equal parts head, equal parts heart.
Mm-hmm. The reason I ask that question is that since the person who's closest to Yahweh of all people who've ever lived is in fact equal parts head and heart, that this means that Yahweh, and we see it all the way through his testimony, he is as cerebral as he is emotional. He is the kind of God and Father who therefore is exceedingly protective of those he loves. And what this means is that if you do something despicable against someone that God dearly loves, such as the precious Leah, my wife, God gets very angry. You read Dode's Mizmowrs, you read his Mashal, he gets very angry. When Miriam, who was once part of the covenant, this is Miriam, Moshe's sister. She was even called a prophetess when she led the woman's side of the chorus of the Song of the Sea. She disparaged Moshe's wife. And for her to be recorded disparaging Moshe's wife, you know that behind the scenes, she was just like this embittered clique that has been so disgusting towards my wife.
It wasn't a one-off, yeah.
It was not a one-off. That was their thing. And we all know it. I heard it. Dr. Jeff, you've heard it. Rich, you've heard it. And what was Yahweh's response to her when she attacked Moshe by disparaging his wife and then claimed, we too speak for God?
He plagued her with leprosy.
Yeah. And he even said, it's like your father spit in your face. And he banished her from the community. And his last two comments regarding her are that she is the example of permanent divorce. Never will come back. And where she is buried is where the wellspring of the waters of Meribah took place, the single most embittered, antagonistic episode between God and his people. And so that's Yahweh's response to what she did. This embittered clique of women and disgruntled mental midgets of men, they're far worse. And we don't have 3,400 years now to get it right.
Yeah.
So I'm going to tell you, there's hatred between God and them for doing this. I've been doing this a long time. I'm a man of words. I've been able to wield words wisely for a very long time. I've never met a word I didn't like.
Yeah.
I can't say it as well as that song does.
Yeah.
More emotional, more cerebral, more impassioned, more effective than anything I have ever spoken. And God knows it. When Yahweh is insistent, and this is family hour, so I want to talk about this. It was the last conversation I had with Joe before we parted, because when he never goes to a site like my Facebook page by just clicking on a bookmark, because that's not the way that you encourage the search engines to find your site. He always types in something different, even a misspelling of my name or of Yahweh's name or that sort of thing, to make it a little harder on the search engines. You come up lower and you click on that, and that's what conditions the search engines to bring up the sites that we want people to see more frequently. So he's really doing us a favor to do that. And when he did that this time, it came up on the We Hate Craig website that that's all they have to offer, because their own site, they hide behind passwords. So they're not trying to teach anybody. They're not trying to help anybody. They hide behind their own little passwords. But they hashtag my name all the time. And YadaYahowah hashtag that too, to disparage me and disparage my wife. And that's where he came and he asked me about it. And I explained it to them, the history of this conspiratorial group and how this clique of embittered women came to be. But I said to him, I said, it's very hard on my wife. That's why she does this show infrequently, because, it's, you only have so much gas in the tank that anybody can give. And when she contributes, she's constantly attacked by them and smeared, and it just gets old. I'm just different. I don't care what you say about me. We have people now that are condemning me as Satan on the Facebook site, and I'm just toying back with them because it just doesn't bug me at all. If anything, it spurs me on. It's just I find it entertaining. But Yahweh was not about to allow Moshe to continue in that role without experiencing a fractured family. And he experienced it in a real important way. And God was not going to allow us to witness that embittered experience without knowing his retort, his response to it. And the same thing is true with the man closest to Yahweh, Dod. And he had fractured family from every which way. Wives, sons, rivals, just terrible. Even the king that he had once saved by killing Goliath turned on him. He had it every which way. Till you've endured that, you have no ability to show any empathy for what Yahweh has endured. He has dealt with this malcontent group of Israelites for now 4,000 years, and it's been horrible from day one. There's 5 minutes of joy among 5,000 years of angst. And if we're going to speak for God, we have to experience that. That's why he had Hosea marry a temple prostitute. That's why it was always so tough for the great prophet Yeshua. Every time he turned around, he was, facing malcontents. And so for me, it was reinforcing, so that, you've got to develop a backbone. You got to be tough. You got to be able to endure that. You have to expect it. You have to be able to convey Yahweh's response to his people, why he left them, why he divorced them, why he cannot stand them at the moment, why he had to have a goy deliver this message because he couldn't stand working with his people anymore. So he had to find a goy that would deliver this message to them. That's how far removed he is from you. You erased his name. You spit in his face. You call him the Lord. You call him Hashem. You've written over him with your Talmud. You dress up the Torah as it was a whore. And you won't acknowledge in the Torah that you're obnoxious. And you are. From the beginning to the end of the Torah, you're obnoxious. And you're incapable of acknowledging that. And so this is Yahweh's frustration, that he wants you to know that's exactly how he is responding to Yisrael. And outside of Yisrael, he cares even less, particularly to those who parade around under the umbrella of Christianity or Hinduism or Islam or Marxism. His frustration is even greater than it is with his people. But with his people, they ought to know better, and they don't. And so Yahweh, when he came off Choreb, just the projection of his fiery light and his voice to talk directly to them, he knew how they were going to respond. And they told him to go away, shut up. They never wanted to hear from him and never wanted to see him again. And he said, I get it. And I agree.
Mm-hmm.
And from that moment on, God's communication with his people has always been the same. Out of hundreds of thousands and sometimes millions, he found one.
Yeah.
And that one became his voice. And that one was exceedingly unpopular. And that one had to be resilient, because it's a tough damn job. And that one had to have conviction. That's credibility was the currency of those individuals. So when somebody would try to demean them, as I've had this embittered clique do, God is going to aid in the defense of the one that he is speaking through. And he is going to tell his people in 100 ways, sometimes 1,000 ways, sometimes even more, this is the person I picked. I'm telling you all about them. I'm telling you when they're going to come. I'm telling you what they're going to do, what they're going to be like, what they're going to say. I'm describing them in every possible way, including this guy. He's saying, I'm a bull. Yeah, you probably notice that's my demeanor. And it's for a reason. Bulls don't take any crap from anybody. And that's what we need to deal with at this point of time. We don't have any time to take any crap for anybody. We only got 7.5 years left, and most people are going to die between now and then. It's going to be really rough out there. And you need somebody that's going to stand up for you and protect you. Somebody will actually lay down his life for you.
Yeah.
And it's time to be called by that name. Stop erasing Yahweh's name. Stop using Hashem. Stop using Adonai. Stop using G-D. Stop listening to the rabbis. Stop giving any credibility to Judaism. Stop giving sanction to the Marxists and progressives that are trying to undermine Israel. Stop trying to accommodate Christians and Muslims. They're the enemy. So this is where we find ourselves, and I'm delighted we were able to play that song twice. Rich, you got to hear that song get developed all the way along. You have a long career in music, and know when somebody has struck a chord and when they haven't. I think that was one of your very favorites.
Yes, it is. So, and she says she can't write ballads, and she pulls it off. So she's got more talent than she actually understands.
Yeah, she wrote that as a ballad because it was a gift. I asked her to write a ballad, and it's powerful. And and we'll go on from here, but I want to add one last thing, because this is about family. That's the whole issue that Yahweh was trying to achieve. He's father. He wants to have a family. His exemplar is his beloved son, Dud. But Dud's not his only son. I came out of a loveless marriage. I had a horrible marriage. Miserable marriage. And when I finally got separation, was now 10 years ago, the thing that I craved was affection and love and just an enjoyable relationship. I had always loved relationships. Meeting people and getting to know them and sharing lives was particularly with a woman where your relationship can develop on so many different levels, and I missed that in that horrible relationship. And I came out of it and found out that dating today is a fairly easy thing to do if you're still an analog guy that has some acumen for the digital world, because most people are so screwed up in the digital world that they don't have a clue as to how to actually treat somebody in real life. It's social media and texting and the life, and they got no game beyond that. And so, I'm still an old school guy. I like to meet people. So I'll send you a text if you want a text, but I'm only sending you a text to ask you out and let's go meet. And in 6 months, 7, 8 months, I enjoyed the company of well over 30 women. Wonderful. Just every moment of every relationship was spectacular, so enjoyable for all of us. And then I met Leah. My first impression, she's not my type. This will be a nice lunch. I'd never seen her before, but I loved her intellect. I fell in love with her brain a long time ago. But she's not my type. So this will be a nice lunch, and that'll be it. That was it for me. I'll tell you. I did what Yahweh did. He just said, you're mine. And we have been together and inseparable and monogamous and celebrating an exclusive relationship, which I think is what Yahweh, I know that's what Yahweh wants with his people. And it is marvelous. And so a meeting of the minds that became a meeting of the hearts. So that results in a song like you just heard. Dr. Jeff, you're uncommonly quiet back there, but you've known my wife, and you've known me and our relationship, and your people, and the development of the branding and the song for a long time.
Yes, and you're still feasting. You haven't finished lunch yet, and starting on dinner, and dessert's going to be eternal.
Yes.
Leah is a very unique and special individual, and she has empathy, intelligence, and a passion, a Dodian passion for her people.
And conviction, steadfastness, devotion.
Absolutely. And she'll go to the mat for those who she cares about and loves.
Yes.
And that's why, with this recent episode of these misbegotten misfits, I found it painful, more painful for her. It's like you, say what you want.
Say what you want. What do we care?
Say what you want. Whatever. We're impervious to this kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But it was such a justification when you finally deciphered and translated the 14th Mashal and Dode and Yah.
And numbers 11,
Single her
12,
out.
13,
Nope.
14, 15, 5,
Single her-
19, 20.
Single
Yeah,
her
all
out.
prophetic.
Single her out. And
Yeah,
she's
so,
told me,
well, it might be something that you and I just, God's not.
Oh.
God's in this big time. And he is just absolutely beside himself with disgust.
He is. I mean, look at what you've recently done within the last 7 to 10 days with Mizmowr 6 and 7. If I were part of these misbegotten misfits, I would stay very silent, and I would just cease and desist.
Or the 89th, as we're starting now again through the 89th, just with the insights. I mean, today was Yada of Taruw'ah, bringing everyone into the light of Yahweh's presence for the benefit, Asher, of the relationship. Who do you think he's talking about?
The harvester.
Yeah.
I know a guy.
The lesser luminary, the Mayor. Yeah, it's so obvious all the way through. And God said, I've made it as obvious as I can possibly make it. And yet you want to disparage this?
Well,
he's angry. And,
right.
I'm fully aware that my wife is an acquired taste. She does not have great social skills. She doesn't have a filter. And sometimes she's very much like Dode, very much like Yashayah, very much like Hosha, absolutely like Elia. And she'll tell you what she's thinking without the filter sometimes. And it comes off a little raw and a little rough, but it's most of the time she's right. And so I look at her as she's an exemplar of Israel. Israel's an acquired taste,
Mhm.
and so it's an important perspective for us to have, to recognize what Yahweh has been up against, what he fell in love with, what he wants back, why there's so much work to restore the adulterous woman of Numbers 5.
Let me just say also that in terms of a son, you have been called by Yah, his Kol. You're also a son. You've also been called great. And while it might be Katan, the lesser luminary, nonetheless, you still use the term great, still use the term son. And right now, what we have to hang on to is, chazak, chazak, and the Gabor characteristics, and this very, very impervious nature that you have to see it through to the end here now.
Yeah, when you talk about these concepts, Shazak and Gabor, what you're talking about is resilient, firm, uncompromising, totally devoted, unrelenting, and strong, feisty, courageous. These are the characteristics that God is looking for, and that he expects of us at this time. And we, to the greatest extent possible, are going to deliver exactly on that. And every time we turn around, there's a profoundly important and marvelous insight that God is delivering as a result. And, Kevin, you've gotten the opportunity more than most, because you are the person who enabled the branding and everything that Leah is doing. She's the creative type, but she can't make it work by herself. She needs somebody who will support her, who she can feel safe and comfortable with and trust. And you've provided that.
Yeah, I'm just the assembly guy. I just put all the pieces together. It works best for us that way, that she does design. Don't ask me about what font color or what font you want. Just put it out and I'll assemble the pieces, but I need to see what you want first, because I don't pick colors.
So, but the personalities have meshed perfectly, and there's a total comfort level and trust. And it's kind of like the way that Rich and I have bonded, because we're seamless in these programs. I mean, we are joined at the hip as it relates to what we're doing here. It's a complete team effort. And you're here, on average of probably at least 12 hours a day, 6 days a week.
At least.
Yeah.
So
somebody had to.
Yeah, somebody had to. So this is, and you're getting the big bucks for it, I understand too.
I'm moving up to fries next week. So once you get to the fries, that's when the big bucks come.
Whoa.
Moving up to fries.
So,
Craig, let me just say this, fellas, and succinctly, as a couple, you and Leah are turning the world on its head, and Yah and Dode love it.
Yes, they do. Yeah, and it's actually we have restaffed. Yahweh has restaffed the team, and this is such an important aspect of this, because as we go through Shavuot, what we're learning is Shavuot is not a call for vacation. Shavuot is a call to take, in particular, 8 people out of this world. There'll be more than the 8, but taking 8 people out that are going to be the team that enables what we're going to witness through the conclusion of the time of trouble, and then through the 1,000 years that follows, when we're trying to instill some values in this remnant of Yisrael, so they have a chance to grow up and ultimately be emancipated and able to travel the universe with Yahweh. And so it is truly enjoyable, satisfying, pleasurable, empowering, enabling to be able to work together this comfortably as a team to get this done, and that's where we are at this point of the story. Just 5 months away from the beginning time of Israel's troubles, and it's going to take a really steady hand on the tiller to get from here to there, and then through the last 3.5 years of the time of trouble, and really to have everything so well established from the time we disappear to the time we return. This is also part of our responsibility, while we're working on the website again, while we're working on the font, while we're working on improving the YAHOWAH blog. And so this is a tremendous opportunity to get it right. And there are times when I'm uncomfortable with the trust that Yahweh has placed in us, because he's has all of these terms that are things that he is trying to accomplish through us and with us. And my concern is that God's intent is only to use those titles and prophecies to give credibility to our collaboration so that his people listen. It isn't for us to claim anything. We don't ask for donations. We don't want any esteem. We don't want followers. We don't have a secret clubhouse. We don't have a secret handshake. We don't have any secrets, period.
That's true.
Nobody pays us anything. We don't pay anybody anything. We are, as even the books we offer royalty free, and on the site we offer them absolutely free. We're just trying to serve as a conduit of information from Yahweh to people. God didn't apply the title of lesser luminary or tree of knowledge to blow smoke up my behind. It isn't he's not trying to flatter me. He's trying to tell our listeners, you need to read and you need to listen to what this man says, because I'm responsible for it. What he's telling you, I inspired. What he's telling you, I taught. What he's telling you, I foretold that he would communicate this to you at this time, is the only reason all of these accolades and prophetic statements exist. It's the only reason God's defending us through his Torah and prophets, is because he has a lot riding on this. He chose that he was going to go all in with Anachri. He wrote about that 3,400 years ago in Debadim, Deuteronomy. It said, Hanachri, that's going to be the guy that I'm going to use to restore my relationship with my people. Then when he opened the doors for the house of Yahweh's name, for the grand temple, if you will, that was placed on the Temple Mount that Dode had acquired and was built in the 7 years following Dode's death by Solomon, his first of 3 lives of Dode. The opening statement was all about the arrival of Hanachri and the importance of listening to him if you're going to survive this time of trouble. So God is all in, and you can criticize him if you want for having chosen somebody that is like me versus somebody like you might prefer somebody else.
Nobody else gets the job done. That's how it works. Yeah. You can't be popular. You can't be someone that you can't be set apart and go with the flow. You have to make your own flow. You have to make your own, this is the only way, the right way, And so no, there is nobody else, because number one, nobody else had let's just start with time, okay? And the want to, and the means. Because as much as somebody would want to sit down and write 35 volumes and explain, the Torah and their word, and there's not a lot of people out there that have the means to be able to devote the time and the energy to it, and still, I don't know,
disparage
keep their
Islam or
on.
Christianity.
Yeah. And yes, yeah. because that was very much part of the job as well, was Islam and Christianity, and then coming back to Judaism through Babel. So yes, I mean,
it's the tree of the knowledge of good and bad, is it not?
Mm-hmm. Yes, it is.
It's part of the process of going from Etz to Etzah.
Yeah, and you know why Yahweh loved Dode? Is because Dode was the antithesis of Adam. He listened, he responded, he engaged, he made a tremendous contribution. And when Dode stumbled and fell, he got right back up, wiser for the experience, better for the experience. And that's what God was looking for in the garden from Adam, that Adam didn't deliver, that Dode did deliver. And to be the lesser luminary, reflecting the greater luminary's light, to be this tree of knowledge that draws you back to the tree of lives, Dode, that's exactly what you have to do. You got to be willing to work at it. I mean, it'll be 32 years plus then 1,000 years.
It's part of going where the words lead.
What's most amazing is that God chose the final implement 3,400 years ago, and he knew it then.
He did. Mm-hmm. He wrote about our relationship in Genesis 1 as the greater and lesser luminaries serving the signs of the Moedim. And he spoke of us again in Genesis 2 as the tree of knowledge and the tree of lives. And it never stops from there.
And then the Nachri and Devarim 29 and so on and so forth.
Yeah. And it's because God's got a plan, and he knew it was going to turn out this way, and he has a plan for it to be resolved, and it's going to happen as he has foretold. But it happens because we are all, as a team, devoted to this. So if you're listening to this program, this is specifically what Yahweh requested, and you need to know there is nobody else out there that's speaking on behalf of Yahweh. No one. God picks one person at a time, and he establishes a team and a support around that individual to convey what he wants said. And in this case, he wants his name reestablished, and he wants what his son accomplished known. And, here we are, the first people in human history since Dode, 3,000 years ago, to figure out that Dode is the one who fulfilled Pesach, Matzah, and Makodim. That makes him our savior. He was the one that was crucified, not Jesus. He is the Messiah, and he is the Son of God. He is the returning King, not Jesus. Jesus never existed. Paul invented him in 52 CE, and I prove it. And the first person never been able to say that and prove it, and then prove that Dode is the one who is our Savior, and not just affirm it, not just discover it, but prove it, and which we do in these books and in these programs. And it's the single most essential thing to know, to re-engage in a relationship with Yahweh, to reconcile that broken family, to have your soul be part of his family going forward. No other way. And so that is our job. That's what we're making known. That's what we're committed to doing. And every day is it's like opening the treasure chest and say, what wonderful jewel are we going to find in here today?
Right.
And they're all over. And sometimes the jewels come out of songs, don't they?
Yes, they do. Yes,
absolutely.
They do.
Yeah.
So with all of that said, and we've done our
N equals 1. Yeah. N equals 1, Craig, and you're it.
Yeah, it's
N equals 1.
It's clearly that Yahweh has had this plan in mind since he described the fourth day of creation. He knew that this is the way it was going to play out, and that would have been about 1 billion years ago. So, fourth day of creation is about 1 billion years ago. So
talk about patience, right?
Yeah. So yes, well, it's in his case. It may sound like patience, and certainly he ascribes patience to himself. But we view time stuck in it from earth. Mm-hmm. He doesn't. For Yahweh, this was a blink of an eye. Yeah, he can dispatch his ruach here, his malach here, project some of his energy here, his voice here, to interact. And when he does, I'm certain that he experiences time like we do here on earth when he does that.
Mm-hmm.
But otherwise, no, he's not experiencing time the way that we are. Time is a dimension, and he lives 3 dimensions beyond the dimension of time, and we live a dimension shy of it. So it's quite a difference between where we are now and where we're going to be, and that's the whole reason that we're here, because we learned that Adam failed. Adam didn't fail because of a first sin. Adam didn't fail because he took a bite of a piece of fruit. It wasn't Eve or even Chawah, her right name, who deceived anyone. The terminus of the garden experience was by Yahweh. He caused the fall of man, and he caused the fall of man because there was no chance that anything was going to improve with Adam in that garden, and that Adam didn't have what it took for Yahweh to trust him out of the garden. He didn't listen. He didn't engage. He wasn't observant. And when he made a mistake, he wallowed in it as opposed to learning from it. He was the opposite of doubt. And so God just gave up and said, I'm out of here. And he said, that's why he said it's not good for the man to be alone. And he created woman for him because God had made the decision he was leaving. The relationship was over. And his lecture on the way out tells us everything we need to know. It's going to be by hard work, by being observant, by listening, by working hard at it, that we were going to finally earn our way back into God's trust. And boy, we had 6,000 rough years, though, between then and now, haven't we?
Some high spots here and there, but otherwise it's been pretty rough.
Yeah, some high spots here and there. Not too many of them.
How
speaking
of the concept of Shema and Shamar. Shema and Shamar.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that was the beauty of that song. It was a visual song to Shamar and a marvelous lyrics to Shema. It's what God's looking for. He wants us, but it's not just listening and observing. I mean, those things are prerequisites to listen and observe what he has communicated, apart from the religious rubbish like the New Testament, the Quran, or the Zohar, or the Talmud, and correcting his Torah and prophets to the oldest manuscripts from the Dead Sea Scrolls and scrubbed of the Masoretic copy edits that were achieved through their diacritical markings in the 11th century, that we can get right to the essence of what God was communicating. And then we can use our minds and we can make the right connections to appreciate what he is offering and expects in return. And we've done that, and we will continue to convey precisely what that is. But it's more than just knowing. It's even more than understanding. It's about the response.
Yeah. You have to know.
It's about doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, God, that was the thing that I guess that I've learned, that it was one of the last lessons that was really fundamental to this relationship with Yahweh, is that I had previously been mistaken in thinking that once you were covenant, you were always covenant. But Miriam is absolute proof that that's not true. Mm-hmm. And there are many others that is also not true. You know, you can be assured that Absalom was brought up under Dode's tutelage, and it doesn't get better than that. And he absolutely went AWOL.
Wow. Yeah.
So it is. Yeah, it is absolutely possible. And it happens a lot, I'm certain. So the thing that distinguishes those who have written themselves out of the story, like Miriam did, is their ongoing commitment. You know, you have to go beyond knowing and understanding to actually doing. And you have to be resilient and steadfast and dependable. You know, when God allows us off this planet into the universe, we have to be reliable. we have to be responsive. We have to be dependable. If we're not, bad things will happen. You can't even imagine the energy and the distances and the power and the things that can go wrong if we aren't reliable off this planet when we're empowered and enriched by God.
I mean, you blow up one sun and they never let you live it down.
Yeah. Well, I had, that's right. Go create or play too close to a black hole and you'll see what happens. I had a Christian that on my Facebook page decided to call me the devil because I dared to raise Dode above the myth of Jesus Christ. And he said, this David that you're speaking of, he had one of his generals go off to war thinking he would die so he could steal his wife. And you want to put that scum above my Lord Jesus Christ?
Not me. I didn't do that. I didn't do that. Yahweh did.
Well, Yahweh did that. Yes, Yahweh did that. But us, it isn't good enough to say, Kevin, that Yahweh did it, so, live with it. No, that's not why we were told that story. That story happened for a reason. And the story is because God has a response to it. But the overall implications of that story are very far reaching. So first of all, I'd put anyone over Jesus. I'd put Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny and the Tooth Fairy over Jesus because they're all frauds. They never existed. I mean, Dionysus is more credible than Jesus. There are more witnesses to the story of Dionysus than there are actually to Jesus. So yeah, I'd put anything over
see Santa
Jesus.
At the mall. I
see Santa at the mall,
so.
and Jesus really is nothing but a myth. But let's think a moment about that. Is the worst episode in Dode's life. And what God is saying is my relationship with Dode is not based upon his worst episode. Lives are full of up and downs. I'm not looking for perfect. I'm looking for real. I'm looking for genuine. I'm looking for someone ultimately that I can rely on to do the right thing. And even when I discipline them, which Yahweh did with Dode when he made that call. And, part of it too is that Dode's wives were cantankerous. He did not choose well and wives. So they were cantankerous. And so, I'm sure that God said, yeah, I understand why you wanted her. But he said, what you did was wrong. It wasn't wrong to have an eighth wife or 10 concubines. That didn't bother God at all. It was that Uriah was a good man, and to send a good man off to a battle that you thought he might die in so that you could have his wife, that's a bad call. That's not the kind of leadership that I'm expecting. That's not the character that I'm expecting. And Yahweh made it clear to him that it was inappropriate, and Dode understood it, and they had a timeout together.
Yeah, I wonder if it even more so than just Uriah being a good guy. He was Sadak as well. I mean, to be that close to Dode, to be that, he had to be very, like you said, Absalom was at the tutelage of Dode. He had to be Sadak at some point as well, and so Uriah wasn't just good. He was Sadak. He was right. And that's what I think Yah looks at more than anything else. Are they right?
Yes. And so with this story, what we're confronted with is an imperfect man making an astonishing contribution to our lives. It's the same man who, unlike Jesus, wrote over 100 Psalms and Proverbs. A man, unlike Jesus, that analyzed how to observe the Quran with 22 stanzas with 8 verses apiece in alphabetical order in the Hebrew language to explain it. Brilliant.
119, yeah.
Yeah, the 119th. Someone that, unlike Jesus, actually was crucified and volunteered for it. volunteered for that, and then wrote about it 1,000 years before he endured it. Somebody who was smart enough, unlike Jesus or anybody in the Christian New Testament, to understand that story of Abraham and Isaac climbing Mount Moriah in year 2000 Yah in 968 BCE, with Yahweh saying, I'm going to provide the lamb, in a discussion of, don't take the life of your beloved son, your only son, because I'm going to provide the lamb. And Dode hearing Yahweh said, he is my beloved son. He is my firstborn son. And he put those things together to say, oh, I'm going to be the lamb.
Mm-hmm.
That's my role. I'm going to serve as the lamb. That's brilliant. But it wasn't just that he figured it out. And then he did something that I think there's only two people that have actually figured this out. Even to this day, two people who have figured out how matzah is fulfilled. I got it wrong for the first 22 years I did this, but finally figured it out, that you sign up for the role of Pesach El, the Passover lamb, that's just your body. Yeah. Good riddance, right? Doesn't have any value anyway. Good, yeah, good riddance. The hard part was his soul was going to go into Sheol to carry our guilt away, because that's the remedy that God came up with. He's removing our guilt so that we look perfect in his eyes, so that he can work with someone like Dode or me or you guys, and what he sees is perfect. What he sees is just great. He only sees the positive contributions from us and none of the negative. And so it's, Dode literally carried our guilt and put it into a black hole where it can never be seen again. But he volunteered to do that, and he figured out that he should do that. And then he convinced Yahweh, you need to let me do this. This is good for everybody. It's good for my people. It's good for the covenant family. It's good for you. It's good for everybody that I do this. It's just 2 days. I get rid of the body. That's no big deal, because you're going to give me a replacement body anytime I want one anyway. So I'm happy to get rid of the body. So it'll be painful for a day, but we'll endure that. And that going into hell is pretty scary, but you're sending this Ruach with me to protect me. So, I know you're letting me out, so I'll do this. Now, do you think how does that stack up to, I did a bad thing related to somebody who was a good man? What do you think God was? What is he prioritizing? And also, since Dode took everything that he did and everything we have done wrong and deposited in Sheol, from God's point of view, that's all gone. Yeah. Doesn't matter anymore. It's gone.
It's not even history. It's not even history. It's gone.
It's gone.
It doesn't exist.
It's gone. It's something for us to know, so that we understand that we can do stuff that isn't ideal and even wrong. If we can learn from it, it's not an impediment to this relationship. In fact, it's an opportunity to grow, to learn, to get some battle scars, to correct the record and move on wiser for it. That's why the story is there. And it also does something that the religious don't understand, because the religious want perfection. That's one of when this clique of disgruntled, embittered women started attacking me. Their first was that there's no way that you can speak for God and have made a mistake. And, I these books, not this one, because this is the most recent that I have written, but, a book like this, An Intro to God, I have probably rewritten this book, 10, 12 times. And they say, there's no way you can speak for God and have to go and rewrite a book, because you learned that something new that causes you to come to a different conclusion. I had the set apart spirit provide a garment of light to cover over our guilt so that we could look perfect before God. That was my best explanation of matzah before I realized what Dode actually did, which was he went into Sheol, carried it with him into Sheol, and deposited it there, never to be seen again. I think Yahowah probably got it too. So I'm in a small group of 3 that understood that. And so once you realize that, then, okay, you need to go back and change it, right? Once you figured out, and it took me 22 years to figure out that Dode was the Passover lamb that fulfilled all of this, even though he wrote about it in first person. But once you do, you got to go back and make that correction. Say, oh, no, you can't speak for God if you make a mistake. Oh, yeah? Then what about Moshe saying, God, I just want you to kill me. You must hate me to have put me in this situation because no one can do this. You think the things that Moshe said in Numbers 11 were right? Of course not. Do you think that every time the children of Israel came up to Moshe and bellyached, that Moshe's response of falling on his face in front of God and not coming up with an immediate retort was right? Of course not. You think that Dode, during the Absalom rebellion, and he didn't want to deal with the problem here, do you think he was right? Of course not. When God gave Dode 3 choices and he made the wrong one, no, he wasn't right. But was Dode the most prolific of the prophets? Absolutely. So God's not looking for perfection. The fact of the matter is, perfection is a religious concept. It's, well, you can create a myth that can be perfect, I guess, right? So Jesus can be perfect because, well, Jesus never existed.
Right.
But the problem is that, God's not a problem. God's not looking for perfect. And doesn't even want it. I'm not even sure God would ascribe perfection to himself. In fact, I'm quite sure he wouldn't. Because if you're perfect, there's nowhere to go from there. If God's perfect, he's not going to have the failure in the garden that he had with Adam. If God's perfect, he is not going to regret having created man. If God's perfect, he is not going to have the children of Israel spit in his face and tell him to go away. We never want to hear from you or see you again. If he's perfect, he's not going to have to divorce his people, is he?
There'll be no free will.
If he's perfect, there would be no free will. And if God was looking for perfect, if God was looking for perfect, we would all be the same, wouldn't we?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If blue eyes were the idea of perfect, we'd all be blue-eyed. We'd all be, if 6'4" was the idea of perfection, we'd all be 6'4", chiseled. We might just be Aryans, right? Obviously, that's not God's idea. That's obviously not God's idea of perfect. We're all different. By the very fact we're different, we can't be perfect.
Well, he doesn't even see. I mean, the body's meaningless. It's the soul. It's the Nepesh. It's the neshama for sure.
You're a marvelous guy, but a great contributor and continue to be a great contributor to the covenant. But your soul's not perfect either.
Oh no.
Nor is mine. Nor is mine. Nor is the great Dr. Jeff. Even the king of the cables here doesn't have a perfect soul.
No.
And God's not looking for a perfect soul. Not even in the soul is he looking for perfection. He's happy to take our guilt away. He did. That does not leave us as perfect. What that leaves us is not guilty. Right?
Yes.
If we were perfect, we'd be boring as hell. If we were perfect, we'd all be the same. And why have more than one?
And I wonder if that has something to do with the comfort level. It's not that Yahweh is uncomfortable with us. It's us being uncomfortable with ourselves in his presence because of this idea of guilt. And once we're able to get over that, then we're okay with whatever, because we know he's going to be okay with whatever.
Why do you think that Dode was bare ass naked when he figured out that Yahweh had arranged between the bull and Obed Edom, that Yahweh had arranged to move the Ark of the Covenant where it needed to be, when it needed to be there, and explained to him all that was going to happen even prior to his return with Obed Edom and this bull with the relocation of the Ark of the Covenant. Why do you think that Dode is dancing bare ass naked? There's only 2 reasons that he'd be dancing bare ass naked, and to have his wife Michal condemn him for doing so. You know what the 2 reasons are? I think
he's okay with himself, and he's okay with Yahweh. Yeah.
he is comfortable in Yahweh's presence, isn't he?
Mm-hmm.
And he knows that when that Ark of the Covenant is repositioned, which it will be on the Temple Mount prior to his return, so that he can wear that breastplate again and anoint it with the blood of the sprinkle of the bull and the goat on Yom Kippurim when he arrives, he knows we're going back to Eden. And what's the dress code in Eden?
Yeah. A
Yeah.
smile.
It's a smile. But why is it a smile?
Doesn't matter.
Because we're comfortable in
We're
God's
always gonna be
presence.
there for you.
Because what? We've got nothing to hide. Why do we have nothing to hide? Because our guilt's gone. Are we
Joe
perfect?
took care of
No.
that.
No.
Mhm.
Are we perfect? No. Are we interesting? Absolutely.
Right.
It's the purpose
And
of
so-
2 Sam 6. 2 Sam 6, that's, you're just describing that right now.
Exactly. 2 Sam 6 is the example of interesting, resilient, willing to learn, makes mistakes, but willing to listen to God on the correction of the mistake and be happier, stronger, and ever more exposed because of it. So it has nothing to do with nudity. It has all to do with our comfort level being exposed before God. Because one of the things that I learned when I started this job is that, my diction isn't always perfect, and I don't want to claim that I am a great vlogger or a great writer or anything else. But what I knew, and that didn't matter what I had done in my past or how we got here, is that Yahweh sees only the best in what we're doing. And he doesn't see anything else other than the best, because he had a mechanism of removing everything else such that he could enjoy the best in us. And how do you not feel comfortable around God when that is the case?
Yeah.
And that's what he's offering everyone. It's a marvelous plan. All right, so this is what we find. And what I want to do here is we're going to proceed. We're only going to spend about 30 minutes on this, because we'll keep this at 2 hours. That's our longest show every week, is the family hour. And thank you for enduring it for this length of time. But what I wanted to do is, we had completed in our last family hour program, on our last episode of Returning to the Garden, the very profound statements that were found in YAHOWAH Isaiah 17, of how the Shabuah and then the Taruw'ah harvest and gleaning were going to transpire, and then the role of the Zeroah as the Parah, as this productive bull with the mortal remnant of Yisrael, and how everything we've talked about is going to transpire. And my desire at that point was to prove emphatically that God's not talking about a bull. He is not talking about a tree. He's not talking about a harvester. He is not talking about fruit, olives, or wheat. He's using those things as metaphors to tell a story that could have been perceived throughout time, that is exceedingly graphic for us now, about harvest of very special souls. And so the only way to do that was to go to the place where Yahweh inspired by far the brightest of the prophets. There's no one that competes with YAHOWAH Isaiah. And it's a little bit uncomfortable saying that he inspired the brightest of the prophets. So clearly YAHOWAH is that. He had the most extraordinary vocabulary of any of them. But this is actually Yahweh speaking through YAHOWAH. It's the voice of Yahweh. It begins like, I'm going to read this one. This is what Yahweh says. Okay, so this is Yahweh speaking to us. He's very smart. And so what I wanted to do was to demonstrate conclusively that Yahweh himself had said that this harvest is a people of their souls, and that they're going to disappear. And those who are not part of this harvest are going to say, we haven't got a clue what happened. Because if you can go to that step, then you need to just acknowledge what we're telling you that's going to happen on Shabbat and Taruwah is absolutely irrefutably true, and deal with it. So this is what Yahweh says, and we're going to make our way to it through the 56th and then going into the 57th chapter. The 57th chapter is going to blow your mind. But the 56th chapter is a nice lead up to it. This is what Yahweh says. Should we listen? Who's Yahweh? Oh, happens to be God, doesn't he? This is what Yahweh says. Be observant and consider. Shamar. Didn't you use that word just a moment ago?
I did.
Be observant and consider Shamar. The means to exercise good judgment and justly resolve disputes, making good decisions. Mishpat. I know that religious Jews want to turn mishpat into mitzvot, as if there was a V in it and a Z in it, and there's no Z, there is no V, and it doesn't describe religious laws. A mishpat is a very simple word. It is a compound of my, which means to ponder the implications of, shafat, which is to judge, to be judgmental, to exercise good judgment, to make an informed and correct decision. So this is what Yahweh says. Be observant, closely examine and carefully consider things so that you are in a position to exercise good judgment and justly resolve disputes. Then engage. I think we covered this not very long ago, where I said, okay, Kevin, you're on the right track with, we need to listen and we need to be observant and therefore know. And I said, yeah, and even if you go to understanding, that's not enough. Not enough. It's a great start.
Respond. Right.
Got to respond. You got to respond. Then engage. Acting upon. Ashah means to do. Engage, acting upon. That which is correct and vindicating. Tzedakah has the ending added to Tzedak, which I've finally reached the point where I'm really comfortable now with the endings of masculine nouns. Doesn't make them feminine. Right. What it makes them is more complete. I asked you at the beginning, who was the closest person to Yahweh? And you said Dode. Now I asked you with Dode, was he more head or more heart, more cerebral or emotional? And the answer was equal. And what the ending does on many of these words, like Tzedakah is a cerebral word. It means to be right, to be correct. You can't be right or correct unless you know. And unless you process that information and understand it, you can't be correct. I mean, correct is the antithesis of believe and faith. You have to know and then make the right decision based upon what you've observed and heard so that you can be right. So that is 100% cerebral, correct?
Yeah.
With the I ending, it's no longer 100% cerebral. It means I want you to be passionate about this. I want you to be devoted to it. I want you to be feisty about it. So when you engage upon that which is correct and vindicating, do it with some enthusiasm. Do it with all the motivation you can muster. Make it both emotional and also cerebral. And that's with the ending. That's what the difference is between Adam and Adamah. Par, bull, and parah. Etz for tree and etzah. Source of comprehensive information. It's a fuller concept, a more complete understanding of the word. Because my deliverance and resulting salvation, my Yeshua, my deliverance and resulting salvation are approaching. My would be Yahweh. So Yahweh says, my deliverance is approaching. And so as we sneak up to Yashayah 57, which is about the harvest and about people disappearing in this harvest, he precedes it by saying that my deliverance and resulting salvation are approaching. So now you know what's happening around this time. They are close, it's intimate, and it's personal. And they're not. This is not a group project. This is not a church. This is not a religion. This is not a mosque. This is not a synagogue. This isn't the confusion of an ethnicity with a religiosity. It's approaching, it's close, and it's intimately personal. Therefore, the one who is correct about me, Tzedakah again, that's the key, will come. He will be revealed. He is first person's masculine, singular. So there's somebody, God's saying, as it relates to this harvest that's going to occur when people are going to disappear on Shabuah and then again on Taruwah, but he's mostly speaking of Shabuah. He's saying that somebody's going to come that's right about him. Well, how many people have been right about Yahweh and understood the nature of this Shabuah harvest? Masculine, singular.
3,000 years? In the last 3,000 years? Is it one? Okay.
Well, certainly in the last 2,500 years after Malachi, it would be one. Mm-hmm. One. So, powerful introduction. That's 56:1. So, for this is what Yahweh says. Be observant. First of all, so if you're going to convey this, you need to know Yahweh's name. You need to know that it was erased by the Masoretes, erased by the Christians, erased by everyone. You need to know that that's Yahweh's name there because you've read the Dead Sea Scrolls and you've read the earliest texts, and you know that it's not the Lord. Mm-hmm. It's Yahweh. This is what Yahweh says. Be observant and consider. And now you need to know what that word means. It doesn't mean to obey. It doesn't mean to keep. It means to use your faculty of sight to collect information. And if it's about Yahweh, it means you're reading. So use your eyes to examine and then consider. Shamar. The means to exercise good judgment and justly resolve disputes. People have been talking about Hebrew for a long time. There's only one person who is openly acknowledging that Hebrew words can be easily deciphered when you know their component parts. And everyone knows that Shaphat, Mishvat is from Shaphat. They know the meaning of Shaphat, which is to judge, to decide, to exercise good judgment, to use evidence and reason to come to a proper conclusion. And the MY is something that I'm the first to recognize, that it's part of many Hebrew words, like mikra, for example. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it means to ponder the implications of the verb, which is, in this case, making good decisions. And asal means to do. If you're not a doer, you're not welcome. God is not lazy. He is not looking for dependence. This is not an entitlement society. If you aren't willing to work, you are not welcome. He kicked Adam out of the garden because Adam didn't work. God values work. If you think that you want to go to heaven so that you can eat bonbons and lounge around on clouds, you are not welcome. No deadbeats. And if you want to check out because, you want to listen to somebody else because, well, they're speaking for mommy and you've been a mom, so you can relate to that. I'm sorry. You wrote yourself out of the story. Then engage, acting upon that which is correct and vindicating. Tzedakah, it's the key word in Hebrew. It's the thing that made Dode. He was right. Jesus is not right. Dode is right. The rabbis are not right. Dode is right. That's all tzedakah means. Right, correct, vindicating, acquitted. Because my deliverance and resulting salvation, Yeshua, are approaching, and they're close, personal. Therefore, the one who is correct about me going to arrive. He's going to come, and he will be revealed. Now, we've been talking about this. There's upwards of 1,000 revelations about the one who is finally correct about Yahweh. Now, by the way, God doesn't say worship him, does he? Doesn't say pay him any money, does it?
No.
Doesn't even say show appreciation to him, does it?
No.
No. All God is saying is there's somebody that's going to be right about me pursuant to my deliverance of salvation. And that my deliverance of salvation is imminent. And once it is imminent, I'm going to bring about the deliverance of an individual. I'm going to deliver an individual who is going to be right about me, and I'm going to reveal that individual. So you're going to know who he is, which means there have to be lots of prophecies, lots of designations of this individual at this time, because we're only now 7.5 years to the end. I don't know how you would deal with that any other way. And then there's the implications of it. So this is reminiscent of what Solomon advised the Israelites as he spoke to the people upon the completion of Yahweh's covenant home, when announcing the future arrival of the Nakri, the observant foreigner, who would address God's wayward children during the last days. He was therefore encouraging Israel to be observant and responsive, acting upon what the witness would share at this time on their behalf. It's the same message that's conveyed in chapter 29 of Devarim in Deuteronomy, in the final book of the Torah. It's the exact same message, the same message as the Choder, the same message as the Zeroah. So having studied the Torah and the prophets, as well as the writings, especially the Psalms and the Proverbs of Dode, we know that the Nakri, observant and responsive foreigner, is here. That he would come, has now come, and he would be as Sadak as was Dode. He would share that with Dode. He'd be right. Particularly about the way to approach the Bereth covenant through the Mikre, invitations to be called out and meet, which Dode exemplified and then fulfilled. He would be correct regarding the means of deliverance, of vindication, even salvation, which occur as a result of what Father and Son have achieved. Listen, be observant, and you too can be part of Yahweh's family, can capitalize on all we have discovered and are sharing openly with you. Since there isn't another Goy, or even a Yehud, whose written and spoken testimony is even remotely comparable to YadaYahowah or to this Yahweh block, you are witnessing the fulfillment of this prophecy. There is no other option. There is no alternative. Yahweh inspired Yashaya Isaiah to convey this promise so that you would know how to proceed if you want to participate in Yahweh's deliverance, which is now imminent. And so in a world filled with deceitful and deadly influencers, God has a man. He chose someone. He then said, blessed by the benefits of the relationship, joyous and productive. There's that word again. Boy, it just happens to pop up at all the right times, doesn't it? That's Asher. In this case, Ashery. First word that Dode wrote in his first Mizmowr. First word I translated. And when I was rendering 2 Samuel 7, which was the first prophecy I analyzed. First word, Ashery. So blessed by the benefits of the relationship, joyful and productive, is the person who acts and engages in this. But that God's going to bring a person who's going to be right about him at the same time that he is delivering salvation. Because the son of Adam, the son of man, by observing the Shabbat and by not defiling and profaning it, he is empowered and strengthened, enlightened and restored by it. You know, I'm quite certain that in all of the studies, the first person to recognize that, Shabbat's a verb. Verbs define nouns. And when Yahweh describes his own actions on the Shabbat, he is blessing, he is active, he is engaged, he is celebrating the relationship and life and what he's achieved. And then I looked at, what day was matzah fulfilled by Dode in 33 CE, year 4000 Yahweh? What day was that of the week?
On a Shabbat.
It was on a Shabbat that Yahweh provided the greatest gift in human history. He loaded all of our guilt on Dode so he could take it into Sheol, protected Dode in Sheol with his Ruach, and then released Dode from it. That was on a Shabbat, wasn't it?
Every time.
Okay. So then when Yahweh is going to fulfill Shabuah, whether it's the first one in May 22nd of 26 or 11 June of 27, and he is going to call this family home, and we're going to find out precisely how we disappear. What day of the week is that?
It's another Shabbat.
Shabbat.
Either year. Doesn't matter.
So God's continuing to do his best work on a Shabbat. Do you think that God is violating the Shabbat?
No.
No, I don't think so. Okay, so we hit Taruwah. This, we found out today that it's Yada of Taruwah to enter the light of Yahweh, and so Taruwah is the greatest show on earth. I mean, there's 100 things that God's doing on Taruwah, and year 2033, year 6000 Yah. What day of the week is that Lakat and then the sacrifice of the Adamah Parah?
It's another Shabbat.
It is a Shabbat. Okay, Sukkah. We're being allowed back into the garden, are we not? On Sukkah, and that is the day that we begin the 1,000-year opportunity to celebrate our relationship with God and finally get it right. That wouldn't be a Shabbat too, and that would be just too many coincidences.
Nope, it is.
God
doesn't do coinky dinks. There are no coincidences.
That's a Shabbat too. So doesn't that mean that Yahweh is trying to teach us something about the Shabbat? If God does his best work on the Shabbat, should we be taking naps on the Shabbat?
No, you got to be paying attention.
We ought to be paying attention. We ought to be learning as much as we can. We ought to be following Yahweh's example, which means we ought to be making a contribution to the joyous nature of this relationship on the Shabbat. And that is, the rabbinical Jews have turned the Shabbat into the most laborious day of the week, where there are 10,000 rules in which you can't do. It is do nothing day. And for Yahweh, it's do something day. I'm going to go with Yahweh. I think he understands the Shabbat better than they do. So blessed by the benefits of the relationship, joyous in this situation is the person who acts and who engages upon this, because the Son of Man, by choosing and observing Shamar, again, the Shabbat. So what is he doing in the Shabbat? He's being observant. By being observant, closely examining and carefully considering things on the Shabbat and not defiling and profaning it by making it common. What is it? What would be the expression of the Shabbat that's common in Israel and Judaism?
Do nothing.
Do nothing. And so God says, don't defile it. I want you to be observant. He is empowered and he's strengthened. He is enlightened. He is restored. There is a word that Dr. Jeff, who had to leave us because he is on call, not just on call, he's actually in the emergency intensive care facility of a hospital. So he is providing life prolonging services. That's why he had to disappear. But I think he mentioned a word that sounds a lot like Shazak, didn't he?
Shazak, yeah.
Yeah, I think it was his word, Shazak and Gabor. Shazak means to be empowered, to be strengthened, to be enlightened, to be firm, to be steadfast. That's what God's looking for. So he's saying that man should observe, closely examine, and carefully consider, be observant on the Shabbat, not making it religious, which is be common. So it's uncommon, therefore unreligious. And if you do, then you're going to be steadfast, empowered, resolute, strengthened, enlightened, stronger because of it. By being observant, by the way, you're familiar with how muscles work? If you use them, you actually tear them a little bit in their healing process, and they become stronger, right? And if you don't use them, they become useless and flabby. And same thing as, by the way, the brains are, and there's other parts of the anatomy, use it or lose it. And so the only way that you can be empowered, strengthened, is to be active doing stuff, whether it's mentally or physically, right? So if you're going to be strengthened by the Shabbat, what do you have to be doing during the Shabbat?
Shamaring or Shabbating?
Yes,
or Shamaring?
Yes. You have to be active. You cannot be strengthened by something if you are napping through it. If you are not participating, engaged, doing something, whether it's thoughtful or physical. In fact, strengthening, it actually speaks of physical, resolute speaks of mental. Yeah. So by being observant, Shamar again, his hand, his influence, and especially that which he influences, will be kept from acting upon or engaging in min asha, anything unjust, immoral, or irrational. So if we are observant, we are Sadak, we listen to the person that Yahweh has sent that is Sadak about him, then we're not going to be irrational. We are not going to be immoral. We're not going to be unjust, because we're going to observe what that person has conveyed, because they're right about God. So he's saying, read it. He's saying, observe it, open it up, and read through it, learn from it. That's what he's telling you. And if you do that, then you're going to be right. Do not say regarding Ha-Nakar. Oh, well, there's that guy again. Nakri, Nakar, same guy. And who is the Nakar? He is an observant son of a foreign land, one who knows and understands through thoughtful examination, and then acknowledges by being discerning and respectful. So you're not going to find it from a rabbi, because there isn't a single rabbi who is a Nakar or a Nakri. This means you need to go outside the tribe. You got to find somebody outside the tribe that's speaking for Yahweh, that's right about Yahweh, that God has acknowledged and he has sent at this time. And he has to be an observant foreigner. So how many are there that are observant foreigners who are speaking only to and exclusively on behalf of Yisrael?
Just one.
Just one.
And it ain't Dode compared to those dipsticks.
Yeah, Ha-Nakar. So do not say regarding Ha-Nakar, the observant foreigner, who has formed a relationship with Yahweh. Not with Hashem, not with the Lord, not with Jesus Christ. He's formed a relationship with Yahweh. Prior to these books, that would be nobody. Something which would infer or suggest Yahweh has abandoned me, by preventing me from being included as part of his family. So God's saying, don't be defeatist at this time. When I send this guy, I don't want you to wallow in your past, that somehow that you need to have an appreciation that God has sent him so that you would no longer be abandoned. God says, I don't want you to be abandoned anymore. I don't want you to do everything you have done that has precluded you being part of his family. It's time that you lay down all of those defenses and recognize what I'm saying through this man. And let not the esteemed and authorized designee say, what now if I have become a silenced counselor or muted messenger? So as I read that, that's my responsibility.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's I can't question my role. I can't allow the naysayers to silence me. I can't give up. I can't say, well, what if I am muted? What if they are successful in slandering and impugning me to the point, if all of the threatening Christians and the continued onslaught of Muslims against me and the insider clique, I can't even ponder the implications of the possibility of being muted.
Or now what? Or now what? Where do we go now? Yeah.
What happens? What happens if we don't pursue this?
Mm-hmm.
No,
we're
committed. We're in it. We're in it to win it, and
keep moving forward.
And we're going to see it through to the end, no matter what happens. If you want to speak against us, you want to say that I'm speaking for Satan because you don't like me disparaging your myth of Jesus, or me telling you that Allah is not a God and that Muhammad wasn't a prophet and the Quran's the worst book ever written, or that Islam, you are completely wrong. You have disparaged Yahweh. You have erased his name. Your Judaism is the single greatest curse on the Jewish people. Because you don't like hearing that, you damn well better not mute this message.
Yeah.
Or what? So Yah's provided this advice. How you respond is up to you. In a world rife with irrational and immoral thought police and muddled in conspiracy theories, while greatly encumbered and outnumbered, our message will not and cannot be drowned out by the many complainers and critics, or muted too soon by the resolutely political, religious, or the embittered cliques. 24 years ago, I was alone apart from Yahweh. And now, as you can see and hear, and you visit these various social media posts and go to the website, there are many. And there's a family of covenant members, and we are devoted. We are all going to bring this message to you. Together, we're going to prevail. And largely as a result of our Yahweh vlog, as Yahweh told us a year ago, this is what I want you to do. Okay, God,
Right.
What is a vlog?
What is a vlog?
What is a vlog? You understand that, I haven't bought a camera since they had film. I did radio before, so I know all about microphones. I could probably figure that part out, but
Right.
oh, come on. The rest of this, you want me to do what?
Right.
That's not my style, actually, with Yahweh. If I was going to take a moment and we're going to communicate directly, and he's going to say, this is what I want you to do, my only questions are, make certain I have this clarified. I don't want to make a mistake. So you have a tendency to enjoy sarcasm, from time to time. I enjoy it too, but let's make certain I understand exactly what you want me to do here and how we're going to go forward with it. And we had a little talk about the Yahweh vlog. And now we live stream 6 days a week, sometimes twice a day. Mostly twice a day during those 6 days a week. To the contrary, this is what Yahweh says. On behalf of individuals who have been castrated as a result of the positions they have taken as leaders, of those who provide guidance regarding the benefits of the relationship by being consistently observant and actively attentive during my Shabbats, who evaluate and choose to walk along the correct path in difference to me, out of respect for me, and to please me, eager to experience this with me, and who are willing to demonstrate an intense desire to learn about, to be steadfastly committed to, and to become empowered by my covenant. Isaiah 56:4. That does not sound like a dispassionate Father or God to me.
No.
That's saying that, I picked somebody, and this person that I picked, he's like everybody I've ever picked. He's picked on. I get that. I've not ever been popular. I'm never going to be popular, at least until come Yom Kippurim and year 6,000. Yeah, God's going to be really popular at that point. Yeah, 100%, 100%, hands up. Yep, you're our God. But prior to that point, he has been highly unpopular. He wasn't even popular in the garden. So,
right.
He certainly wasn't popular during the Exodus. He wasn't popular in Israel. He wasn't popular in the province of Yehudah. He has never been popular with the rabbis or in Judaism. So God's got it, and he realized that if you look at the lives of those who have spoken for them, they are castrated. They're all attacked. They're all demeaned. So he said, "Listen, I get it. That's my guy. He's gonna endure all of that, but he's going to be consistently observant and actually attentive thoughtful during my Shabbats, and he's going to be very thoughtful and choose. Bakar means it's going to be his choice. He gets free will and all, but his constant motivation is going to walk along this correct path in difference to me, out of respect to me. I fell in love with Yahweh. I did. I'm not embarrassed to say so. And I didn't fall in love with him as God, actually. I fell in love with him as my coworker, as a partner, as a supporter, as my father. Our relationship is he's dad. And, as a son, you're the conditions under which you're evaluated are different than if it's God person versus father son. Dads give a lot more leeway to their sons. They expect their sons to be a little feisty sometimes and give a little give and take. But a son that goes about his father's business and loves his dad and sings his dad's praises and believes in his dad, trusts his dad, loves spending time with his dad, that's good stuff. And so that's the way I have viewed our relationship. I've chosen to do it all from the beginning. I've never put God on a pedestal, because I think if I put God on a pedestal, it's counter to our purpose, that we can't be as effective together if I'm the least bit afraid of him.
And he doesn't
said,
want
all
that.
right.
Yeah.
No, I didn't
He
want
has
that.
no interest in. Yeah.
No, so let's just go. We'll be a team. I'll collaborate. Smack me aside the head occasionally if I'm doing something that's stupid, but otherwise, let's just go. Let's get this done. So
tie your shoes,
I made
grab your stick. Let's go.
Yeah, I do think that God chose me to do this job. I'm happy he did, but I get to choose back. He says, who evaluate and choose, Bakar, to walk along this correct path because out of a difference to me, a respect for me, to please me. And I think we've talked about it 1,000 times. Part of my motivation is that we're going to see this through, because for all of us, I want the satisfaction for all of us that when we've done our job, we can walk right up to God, totally exposed, comfortable in his presence, and say, thank you for the opportunity. I hope that I lived up to your expectations. I gave it my all. And I want, every one of us to enjoy that full manly hug that says, yeah, you did. We did this. We actually made it. We made it work. You showed that indeed it was possible. And, and you overcame. Remember that time that you did such and such, and look what happened as a result. We turned lemons into lemonade, didn't we? Mm-hmm. And here we are. Yeah. Look at around the room now. Look at here we are. This is exactly what we wanted to do. That's what I want every one of us to experience, and to know that for a billion, trillion, gazillion years thereafter, every time you have Yahweh look at you, you say, I'm comfortable. I know we did what needed to be done. We saw it through. We were resilient. We were devoted to what he wanted because we wanted to please him. It seemed right. He's gone. Yeah. He's gone through so much grief with us humans that he deserves better, and we want to please him. We're not doing it because we want actually want an attaboy. We're not doing it because we're going to get anything more in terms of eternity, but satisfaction that you have this sense that you brought some pleasure to God after all he's had to endure, that you're going to smile and say, yeah, you really did see it through. That was really good stuff. I'm proud of you. God, can you imagine what could be better?
Right.
Yeah. I'd do this all for, I'm proud of you. We did good together. And so that's what he's saying here.
We know he is. We know it works out, Yeah,
no, it works out. And he is full of praise. He is so full of praise over what we do. He is pleased with what ultimately is accomplished. And we can't just say, well, so it's already been written. He's pleased with he's pleased because we see it through. Yeah, we're devoted to the cause, and it shows. And there's going to be the result that Yahweh wants, and to please our Father when he just happens to be God and the creator of the universe, and we get to spend an eternity with him. That works for me. Works for him. Those who are willing to demonstrate an intense desire to learn, to be committed, and to be empowered by the single most important thing in the world. There's actually something to God, I think, that is more valuable than just his love for Dode, his son, and that's the covenant family. Dode is just the most important member of the covenant family, but there are many children in that family. Isaiah 56:4. We'll read one more. I will offer freely giving to them. This is the children of the covenant, in my home and in my family, and within my protected enclosure, an outstretched, welcoming, and empowering hand, and a name even better than other sons and daughters. And I will give to him and to them an everlasting and eternal designation and reputation, which, for having shared the benefits of the relationship, will never be removed or taken away. It's an attaboy that was written almost 3,000 years ago.
Yeah.
That's what that is. That's God saying, we do succeed together. And I'm pleased.
And nobody's ever going to be erasing that name again.
Nope. So he says, I'm offering to them. So I've shared this a bunch of times that, in business, one of the things that you learn early on, that there's no limit to what you can achieve if you're willing to share credit. And God's a really good at sharing credit. I've never experienced anyone who is as good at sharing credit. Does he deserve 99.999% of the credit for
Right.
Pesach, Matzah, and Bikurim, and for our fulfillment of Shavuot, Taruwah, and leading up to Kippurim and Sukkah? Absolutely. That's not the way he looks at it, though.
Yeah.
It is
Yeah.
not the way he looks at it. And so he looks at it as, okay, lots expected of me. I happen to be God. But these people, look what they did. Look what they did. Sure, I helped it. Sure, I made it possible. But look what they did. I want you to notice what my kid did. This is my kid. I'm proud of him. So I'm going to freely offer to them. I'm going to give to them. All of those who are in my home and family. Just spoke of the covenant. Now he's telling us that it's his home and his family. And he's saying that this is within my protective enclosure. So this is even before we at the 8th octave. This is now during that 1,000 years where there are covenant members who are the teachers of the mortal remnant inside of that 1,000-year celebration in the protective closure that is Eden on earth.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he's talking about here. So there is a designated group who are working with that one that Yahweh said, I am sending, that is right about me during this time of you being delivered. And he celebrates and observes the Shabbat as it's supposed to be, so that you grow strong and resolute because of this relationship. And that ultimately it is empowering because of my covenant, and the covenant members who are the ones who were harvested on Shavuot and gleaned on Taruwah are going to be these individuals who he says, I'm giving to them within this protective enclosure an outstretched and welcoming and empowering hand. I'm enabling them. I am reaching out to them. I am supporting them. I'm grasping hold of them. I'm giving them a hug. I'm doing all those things. I'm putting my arm around their shoulder within my protective enclosure, an outstretched, welcoming, and empowering hand. And I'm giving them a name better than any other son or daughter. That name is Yahweh. We become Rich Ben Yahweh, Kevin Ben Yahweh. And my guess is it's not going to be Kevin and Rich Ben Yahweh either. I think that nor it's going to be Craig Ben Yahweh. I'm fond of Yada. I hope it's Yada Ben Yahweh. But we're all he's going to give us all a name. And can you imagine God saying to you, this is your name?
Right.
And it could be Koleb up there with your love of dogs, Koleb Ben Yahweh, right?
Mm-hmm.
Got a favorite, Rich?
Just call me Toph.
Call you what?
Toph. Just like I am on X.
Okay.
Just a little kid.
Cough. Oh yeah, Cough is the toddler. The
toddler, the little ones that have to be. You gotta freaking supervise them.
Yeah, and
so
that
I need supervision. And I'm
taking 3 or 4 steps as everybody goes forward in their big strides. You're going as fast as your little legs will carry you. You're the one who's just excited to be part of this whole thing. Cough. Yeah, Cough. Yahweh is a good name for somebody that's going to be a couple of trillion years old.
It's going to take me a while to grow up.
You're just going to say, I'm going to be a kid forever, which you're saying. I like the role of being, we are Yahweh's kids, which means we really have the opportunity to be kids forever, to be a kid at heart. What a wonderful situation. Dad's responsible.
I don't mind getting older. It's just I won't grow up. I don't mind getting older, but I will not grow up.
Well, then you and I are the same. And it sounds like
we're all the same.
Cough here is the same too. We're all the same. I have no issue with. In fact, growing older, considering the alternative, is really good. But why would you want to grow up? I'd be forever young. Work so, and I will give to them an everlasting and eternal designation and reputation. which for having shared the benefits of the relationship, because we did share the benefits of a relationship, will never be removed or taken away. It's why I know that Leah and I have not seen her presentation of the song. I've heard the song. It's the song that will be played on Taruwah when we have the sacrifice of the Adam of Parah. And, Leah is fairly protective. She gets all emotional. She even cries about this idea of watching my body get beat up and bludgeoned and all that sort of thing. She wants to kick Trump and Satan and the shins while it's all happening. I says, no, it's not a sacrifice. It's a gift. And I'm not talking about me giving a gift. It's a gift from God. Why? Because by doing that, then I have this opportunity to be forever remembered as somebody who did this. It's like Dode never having ever to be questioned again, never to have anybody rebel against him again. Why? Because we're all there because he fulfilled Pesach, Matzah, and Bakurim. And so if God's going to say, all right, I'm going to give you the responsibility, not for being number one, because thank God Dode's number one. I'm much happier being the lesser luminary, but I'm going to give you this job of being his herald, working with him. But how in the world are you going to work with that guy that fulfilled Passover and went into hell for you if you don't have some skin in the game?
Yeah.
So my gift to you is to position you with some skin in the game. So you can stand shoulder to shoulder with the king and serve him and feel comfortable about it because, well, that mortal remnant that's all there on from that where he's talking about we're working with, they're all there because, well, I was willing to put some skin in the game. I view that as a gift, not from me to them, which it certainly is, but from God to me.
Give you some street cred so you feel okay next to the king, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, it gives you some street cred so you're not all, weak-kneed and intimidated around the guy that went into hell for you. I mean, it's pretty, this is the guy that Yahweh anointed 3 times as Messiah. He said, my chosen one. And he's returning with his seat of honor as brilliant as the sun. He's been called Elion, the very influence of God. And he endured Passover and has endured Israel for 70 years in his first life. And now this is his third life. How in the world do you stand next to that guy and say, we really have to work together here because I'm not just your herald, but probably also your sounding block here so that you can also have somebody you can feel comfortable sharing ideas and we can debate them and talk about strategies and that sort of thing. How in the world are you going to handle being in that guy's presence if you don't have skin in the game?
Yeah.
But, he meets you for the first time and said, okay, you made this sacrifice to bring all of these people into the Sukkah celebration of our return to Eden. Nicely done. I'm appreciative. Now you're not intimidated, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's skin in the game. I view it as a tremendous gift, and God says, for having shared the benefits of the relationship, this will never be removed or taken away. It is a junior version of what Yahweh did, and everyone now who is dedicated to what we're doing now and devoted to it, exactly the same thing. We all have skin in the game.
Mm-hmm.
We've made the decision to make this contribution, and God said that's never going to be taken away. I'm going to remember it forever. And so I'm going to make certain that everybody who is part of forever remembers it. So I'd love to go on because we're talking in the next statement about the Nakar again and that he has formed a relationship with Yahweh, but I don't think it's fair to push this beyond the 2 hour and 20 minute mark.
Been a long day for Rich, huh?
It's been a long day for Rich. He's had back-to-back programs. Looking forward to doing a vlog on a vlog with you on Sunday. We're
on it.
We're going to take the Shabbat. What Leah and I have worked out with Rich and with Yahowah on the Shabbat is that it is our day to be observant, but also to restore and recharge. So I spend almost all of the Shabbat translating and writing and coming up with insights that I can share as part of these programs. This book, for example, was written on the Shabbat. And right now I'm working on another book, and we're actually sharing from it. This is the programs I'm trying to keep in translations and insights ahead of where we are on the Yahowah vlog. And that's how we have come to enjoy the Shabbat. And we're going to continue that way for the foreseeable future. So we'll be on Sunday. We'll do our vlog on the blog and go from there and continue to have fun with this.
Sounds like a plan. I'm ready.
Sounds like a plan.
Sounds fun.
Kevin, thank you for being part of this, and Rich for being part of it. Thank you, Jeff and Abstentia. I know you're trying to save somebody's life, and we appreciate you for doing that. Kirk, I saw you log in twice trying to get in with your cell phone in the People's Republic of California, where they haven't figured out how to turn the lights on. But we appreciate. We know you're going through a tough time at the moment, but it was great to talk with you on the phone earlier today. Love you. And Joe, who's now winging his way back to his children in Virginia. Thanks for a wonderful contribution while you were here. And JB, we look forward to having you join us on our next show. And Leia's probably in there saying, "Oh my God, you made too big a deal about me. And why did you keep on talking about me?" Although she's probably also saying, it's nice to be married to a man that loves and defends his wife. And so she's probably going through both thoughts and emotions right now. So to all of you, thank you. And for all of you listening and growing and participating in this covenant family. For Yahowah, I say thank you, and for his people. Good night.
Shabbat Shalom.